What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Hello. How everybody doing? How everybody feeling? How everybody living? What's up? What's up? What's up? So I just wanted to kind of have a conversation with you guys about something because I've been feeling a certain kind of way, and I'm kind of like confused. Well, not kind of like confused. It's a confusing situation, and the reason being is because I'm hearing all these people talk about being Christians and all this stuff. And I'm all like, being a Christian, like, does that mean like you believe in bigotry? Like, did I miss something? And mind you, I always tell you guys that I'm not too versed on the Bible. Like, if I need a scripture, I'll look it up, like, as far as like, okay, I need a scripture for this. And then that's how I kind of do it. I don't attend church, so you guys already know this, but I've always been nervous, or I don't want to say nervous, but I've always been apprehensive of saying I'm a Christian. So I'll say I follow Christianity, right? Because I feel like to be a Christian, you need to be baptized. Well, funny thing is that I talked to my uncle, the one that y'all think I don't like or that hates me. I don't know why y'all ever think that, but but I talked to my uncle, and he was all like, "Well, the part about being a Christian is that you give your life to God. Like that's the part of like you saying that you're a Christian. The baptism part, because I always thought you had to be baptized. The baptism part, that's basically to let everyone else know. So there's two different things. Like, yeah, you can call yourself a Christian and you do not have to be baptized. And when he said that to me, I was like, oh, then I can say I'm a Christian. Because even like when I go over to the black church sector, I'll be talking to them and stuff like that, right? And I'll say, oh, well, I follow Christianity. They never go like, well, AT2, that means that you're a Christian. They never say like, you're a Christian. They never told me about that, right? And I'm all like, why have they never said anything to me? And and again, going to this Charlie Kirk situation, I'm all like, so anybody, and mind you, I always believe that we're all supposed to have the same God, but I do believe that white people think they got a different God when it comes to Christianity. And the question is, do racist Christians think heaven is segregated? Ooh, Christian tenets. Ooh, a lot of bad people hide behind Christ. Yes, ding, ding, ding. And believe that Jesus died for your sins, but you don't need to be baptized. Yes, facts. I see all y'all in the chat. Also, happy birthday to Shawnee again. Happy birthday. I'm happy you're. Hopefully, you go out tonight. And see, I knew it was coming. I knew he was going to get some Caucasians. I knew they was coming. Y'all see that? Heaven is only for whites. We knew they was coming. Real Christians are not racist. Thank you. What's up, Demetria? Yes, blessing. Some folks I don't want to see in heaven. Yes. Because are all of them going to heaven? Are all of them going to heaven? Because basically you can spew hate, bigotry, racism, and then you're still considered a Christian. Like there's no guidelines like, hey, when you say certain things, this gets you kicked out. Because let's be honest, if you are gay in the church, they will kick you out in a millisecond, right? But if you are somebody who is racist, they still think you're going to get into heaven. And let me say this right here. I know that some people are saying Charlie Kirk is looking down at us. I hate to put it this way, but Charlie Kirk is definitely looking up. He's looking up at us. He is not looking down. I know it ain't nice, Nene. I know I'm gonna get ate up for this. I know it, but he's definitely not looking down at us. He's looking up. That elevator, when he stepped into the elevator went down to the basement. The elevator did not go up. Something that I have been really disappointed is that, like, oh, if you're a God-fearing person or you believe in God, then you're supposed to do this. Listen, I'm not celebrating that someone died. I'm not celebrating. I don't think I ever said, oh, I'm celebrating. It's true, though. You're not like, right, Angie. I'm not celebrating somebody dying. I'm just saying, hey, it's unfortunate. He is the one that taught us about empathy. He said empathy is like a new age thing. And here's the thing, people are saying, oh, you're being hateful, but people are literally using his words. Mind you, we didn't even talk about the shooting the other day. The shooting in Denver. There were 3 people injured and also the shooter. Luckily, nobody passed away. I'm happy about that. But still, in the sense of, okay, well, now there's another school shooting. Like, somebody got hurt. Like, either way. What's up, Darcy? Somebody got hurt. Or people got hurt. Let me clarify that. Let's be clear. Let me bring it up here. And they identified it, the shooter, and the shooter was not black. And the reason why I say that is because why are HBCUs having to be shut down? Why is it turning out that the HBCUs have to be, shut down because, well, not shut down, but, they're in shut down over threats? Why is that? And people will like to say, oh, it's not about race. We're all Americans. Listen, you might think we're all Americans, but that's not what a lot of people think. And I think we have to have these hard conversations. I know we need to have these hard conversations, because at the end of the day, you guys will say, oh, this person is a Christian and this and that, but not really paying attention to what they're actually saying. And for those of you who follow me on TikTok, I did have this conversation on TikTok about just the Charlie Kirk situation in general. But a lot of them were all like, yeah, as a father, as a Christian, this is why. And they're showing so much empathy. And I'm all like, well, damn, like, how many Charlie Kirk fans were there? And mind you, a lot of people were even saying, oh, that's horrible what happened to him. And yeah, like I said, it is unfortunate. But at the same time, let's not forget, like he said, like there will be casualties. There'll be sacrifices. This is that sacrifice that he made. Not saying it was right, but he put that out there. We're using his words. And then let's not even say it's political, because technically we don't know why it happened. And also, let's not compare him to Martin Luther King Jr. Let's not compare him to Malcolm X. Let's not compare him to any other black person, or for that matter, any martyr. He was not that. He was not that. He will never be that. Y'all can try to make him that, but he was never that.
In the manhunt for the assassin who gunned down conservative activist Charlie Kirk, officials just released this image. They are asking for the public's help in identifying the person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting. CNN's Nick Watt is following this breaking news. Nick, you are in Orem, Utah. This is a really significant moment that this is being put out to crowdsource.
Absolutely. So, Dana, we were told that they made some key breakthroughs overnight. One of those breakthroughs was good, clean video images of this suspect. Now,
so that's the guy right there. It was another Caucasian, one of those Caucasian brother and sisters. Like, that's who it was. Y'all can say, oh, that person is trans or whatnot, but hey, it was one of your own who did it. So are we now going to have the conversation about like, okay, well, again, Charlie Kirk was infamous for talking about black people when it came to black on black crime and black people. Whenever there was a police shooting, it was justified because the cop was doing his job, blah, blah, blah. Are we now going to have those conversations about white on white crime? Are the National Guard going to be sent into Are they going to be sent into Utah? Will they be sent into Utah now? You know? I'm just asking. And if you're a Christian, shouldn't you have love for everybody? I'm just asking. There should be love for everyone. So that's why I was like, I felt that if you consider yourself a Christian, then you need to live by those values. But now I understand you don't have to live by those values. You can give yourself the moniker of Christian. And let's be honest, there's always some kind of scandal in the church, right? There's always some kind of scandal. And them people still call themselves Christians. So believe it or not, because of this situation, I feel comfortable calling myself a Christian because I felt like I needed to be perfect and needed to be baptized. I felt like you need to be baptized to be a Christian. I'm just asking the question, y'all. I'm just asking. Oh, Stephanie, yeah, you can mod like you want to. Don't worry. I was gonna whatchamacallit, turn it on subscriber chat only. Hold on. Let me do that right now, Stephanie. Yeah, you know, listen, we knew we was going to get the people. And for those of you, because they did it over on TikTok saying like, oh, yeah, you better live by the words you say, because if you saying his words is this and that. Oh, okay. Well, I don't think that I've ever said anything hateful. I don't think that I tell people, you know, I might tell you a joke or something like that, but I don't think I've ever radicalized people and try to start a civil war, as they like to say, right? There's going to be a civil war. Well, how is there a civil war when it was your own who did it? Your own people did it. Not I. It was your own. Like, what civil war are you talking about? Because again, a lot of people, when they say civil war, they're thinking like, oh, it's going to be Democrat versus Republican. No. When those people are talking about civil war, they're talking about the whites versus the others. That's what they mean by civil war. They do not mean civil war, Democrats versus Republicans. Because at the end of the day, you've seen a lot of those white leftists, white Democrat content creators saying, oh, we're praying for him and all this other stuff. And it's all like, wait, isn't this the same guy that y'all follow around these same college campuses and you're praying for him and you're crying? I've seen more tears for Charlie Kirk than I've seen for that school shooting situation with those people that were injured. I see more tears for Charlie Kirk than I do as today is the remembrance of 9/11, one of the worst tragedies in American history. Oh, y'all don't hear me though? Y'all don't hear me? Y'all don't hear me? Okay. Okay. Y'all don't hear me, huh? And can we also talk about that? Listen, Quentin, you onto something. Because why did Trump make the announcement that Charlie Kirk had passed away? Mind you, if you've seen the video, and unfortunately I did, if you've seen the video, what's up, Ray? You knew it was a wrap. If you've seen the video, you knew it was a wrap. And this is not being mean. I regret that I've ever seen that video. I don't think something like that should ever be shown. But if you've seen it, it was a wrap. But how conveniently that the orange man in chief was the one to announce it. And now he's going to get the presidential medal of freedom. And in Congress, they're even talking about putting a statue of him. So now is he going to get a holiday? This man has been made a martyr. And listen, just like they talked about George Floyd, oh, you guys are making George Floyd a martyr and he was this and that. Nobody said like George Floyd was the best human being, but in that situation, he did not deserve to die. And I'll say this, Charlie Kirk did not deserve to die. I'm in agreement with that. But I cannot say that, he was going around college campuses and talking about black people. I only care about the black stuff. That's what I care about. When you put your mouth on black people, that's when I have a problem. And it's not, and somebody asked me this the other day on TikTok, right? Because, I have followers from everywhere. They asked me this on TikTok. So can white people not talk about black people? And it's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. There's a difference when you are having conversations with black people versus you're in a room with mostly white people or people that look like you and you're talking about black people. That's two different scenarios. Right, Stephanie? That's two different scenarios. One you're having a conversation with, one you're literally dogging and attacking. Like those are two different conversations, right? Yeah, Breon, I listen, I believe that was it. Right. I mean, the man said he was against the Civil Rights Act. And here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with being Republican. But there is something wrong if being a Republican means that you're racist or you're a part of all that bigotry and shit like that. That's the problem. And people are choosing not to see that. They're choosing to be willfully ignorant. And honestly, I'm going to even go one step further. If you're somebody like Charlie who think you're better than black people, I am actually okay with that. I'm okay with you thinking like, okay, we're superior to you. I'm actually okay with that. But if you're thinking like, I don't deserve the same rights as you, or I don't deserve to exist, or I don't deserve, my job or my placement in this country, then those are two different things. But that's not Christian. Exactly. So let me ask you guys, let's do a 30-second countdown. Would you guys consider Charlie Kirk, or let me put it in this term, was Charlie Kirk a Christian? Yes or no? Listen, I'm happy that you brought up the situation that happened in North Carolina. I don't think no black person got on here talking about, oh yeah, we're happy that Ukrainian refugee was stabbed to death. No one is saying like they were happy about that. No one said they were happy about that. So I don't know where you heard that from. Did you hear that from me? Because let's be honest, that's two different situations. That has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk and what happened to him. I'm pretty sure he probably had some comments about that situation, but that has nothing to do with the situation. But again, because you can't have an articulate conversation, you bring up something that's not even relevant to this conversation. Now, are you a Christian, sir? Let's continue.
We were told about 2.5 hours ago that investigators were using technology to try to find an identity from that video image. We were told they were pretty confident that they could do that, but if they couldn't, then they were going to release the images to the public to try and get the public's help. They have now released those images on X, on other platforms, and it shows, as we were told earlier, a college-aged male who, as investigators say, could very easily have blended in with the crowd here on campus. 3,000.
Now that fool look a little older than college age. That fool looked like he about in his mid 40s. But they claiming that's college age, y'all. Some man in his college age. What kind of baffles me is that if you realize they took in two different suspects, right? It was two older white men who were claiming to be the shooters, but they released them because they said, oh, they're not. And so it's quite funny how, why would anyone who was not the shooter try to take claim or blame for what happened? That was so weird to me. Because at the end of the day, what I'm thinking, I don't know if I can say it without them saying conspiracy. Right, son, still Mayo, right. But the way they want to make this man a martyr, this was aligned in their plan. Because I don't know if you guys know, but the day before, Charlie Kirk was actually talking about Israel. He was talking to Ben Shapiro, and he was like, yeah, how come we can't ask questions about Israel? Let me see if I have it on here. I've seen it on Twitter. Dang, I'm gonna have to find that clip from Twitter. But basically, he was saying, like, you know, we're able to question COVID. We can question this, we can question that, but how come we can never question Israel, right? So out of all the people who were saying their RIPs to Charlie Kirk, Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, was one of the people that gave a statement talking about Charlie Kirk. Now, am I saying a certain government did something? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I find it interesting that someone who is not a politician, because again, there's a lot of people all like, well, I never knew who Charlie Kirk was. Okay, then why are you treating him like he was something just because other people were saying it? Just because other people are saying it, you're just going to say RIP to somebody you don't know? That's interesting. But again, Charlie Kirk was not a politician. Like, that's why I can't even say this was political violence. Because we don't know if it was even based off of any kind of, like, he wasn't a politician. Like, what would be the benefit of Charlie Kirk? which leads me to think like, okay, well, what's the real reason why he was murked? We've been on for 25 minutes, Candace. What was the real reason why he was murked? Was it to start this race war thing that you guys keep talking? And I'm not saying you in the chat. I'm talking about, you know who be talking about this race war thing. Was it one of y'all? Was it your own? Was it one of your own who did it? For the purpose of, maybe like, oh yeah, we can go ahead and start this race war thing, which is crazy to me that would even be a thing. And I've always said like a civil war would never happen. Like I've always thought that was stupid, even when they were talking about that years ago. But I mean, with who we have in office, who radicalizes people, I wouldn't be surprised of anything. Because to send the National Guard into cities, and cities of people who did not vote for you, to send them in there, those are targeted attacks. First, it started out with the ICE, and it was all like, oh, they're getting the immigrants. But then we realized, like, well, it seems like they're rounding up everybody. It's not just necessarily immigrants, right? Or people who are not supposed to be in the country. It's anybody. And now we have National Guards coming into the cities and stuff like that. It seems like that war, it's already started. That's already started. And it's funny because now that we're talking about Charlie Kirk being a Christian, I remember there was people saying that Trump was a Christian, but he has said plenty of times over and over again, he says, oh yeah, I love the Christians. The Christians support me. He doesn't say I'm a Christian. He says like the Christians as there's something else, as far as like, oh, the Muslims or the Hispanics or the blacks. He says it as in that, like they're other, not that Christians are him. Have y'all noticed that? He's a white Christian nationalist. There's a difference. Trump is a Christian. He doesn't claim to be a Christian, though. The government even posted. I read that earlier today. Thank you for bringing that up, Quinn. That's crazy. So then, Quentin, that brings up the other conversations, freedom of speech. Y'all might not like people, dancing, singing, celebrating Charlie Kirk, but don't they have freedom of speech? I mean, something that I didn't like was when people were pretending to be George Floyd and they were taking pictures kneeling on someone's neck. I didn't like that. Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Hello? I didn't like that. G. Houston, did you like that? I didn't like it. When they was pretending to be George Floyd and they had somebody kneeling on somebody, I didn't like that. But hey, you said freedom of speech. Because I always say this, when we have the conversation about freedom of speech, is it really the freedom of speech, or is it just to be able to say whatever you want to? Because I feel like more or less it's about the freedom to say whatever you want to. I don't think it's about freedom of speech. I always say those people who make the argument like, man, back in the day, we could say whatever we want to. What they're basically saying is that they want to say the N-word. That's what I feel like when they say freedom of speech, they want to be able to say the N-word. Because what word can you not say? Hello? You know, what word or what thing can you not say anymore? I'm confused. The only thing I can think of, you want to freely say the N-word. That's the only thing I can think of. If you wish things wouldn't be this way, then don't amplify hate speech. Simple. Exactly. Anytime American citizens witness an assassination is horrifying and unacceptable. United we would stand, divided we will fall. It seems America is divided. Well, Miss Barbara, you just found out that America is divided? Is that something that you just found out, or did you always know that? Because I'm confused. You living in America for over 57 years, Miss Barbara, you should already know America is divided. And you Black. You always talking about how the immigrants is taking over your housing and everything like that. Like, come on now. You don't think that you led into some of that divisiveness, Miss Barbara? And mind you, I love Miss Barbara, but Miss Barbara, you ain't gonna get on here and play in people's faces tonight. I'm just saying. If we gonna call it out, we gonna call it out. We ain't playing no games tonight. You know, and shout out to my fellow Christians, because now, yeah, I'm able to say it confidently. All right, let's watch a little bit more of this video as they give more details about the shooter.
People here to see Charlie Kirk yesterday, they described this young male suspect as college age, able to blend in. So the other key breakthroughs that they discussed, they have found the weapon, a high-powered bolt-action rifle with some writings. They are going through those writings. FBI analysts looking at the writings, also at the weapon, also trying to find an identity. It is now coming up on 22 hours since the shooting. And of course, with every hour, this task gets harder. They found the weapon in a wooded area behind the campus in the direction that they know the suspect fled. But the suspect himself was not found in that wooded area. And as an FBI special agent said this morning, they don't know how far he has gone. So they've been gathering video imaging from security cameras, from the many students who obviously had cell phones on them. We've seen the image of a person running across the roof just after the shots were fired. They now have all the doorbell camera video from the neighborhood through which the suspect fled. And of course, they will just be trying to piece this together to try and track this suspect as far as they possibly can. But this is a major breakthrough. This is also a major admission that they have not been able to, I would assume, use the technology they were using on those images to try and draw an identity themselves. That is why they have now thrown this open to the public, asking for the public's help, as they have been from the moment the investigation started. The FBI says they've had over 130 tips by this morning, images, video. They want more of that. And now they want the public's help in trying to identify the person shown in these images. Dana?
I also understand that we have some new information about some words and phrases that were imprinted on the gun that certainly could.
Is that who they're saying the person is, Jack? Is it Valdwiz? That's interesting. Do they have any more information on them, Jack?
Could give some indication of perhaps at least some of the motive here.
Correct. This is reporting from my colleague Evan Perez that there was some writing found with the gun, with the ammunition, and they are obviously analyzing that to see if this writing leads them to an identity of the suspect, or if it is perhaps, ramblings on current cultural events. Analysts are going through that right now. Now, Evan Perez also reports that they found a screwdriver with that weapon, because one of the questions that I've had is, okay, sure, this suspect could have blended into a crowd on a college campus, but could a suspect blend into a crowd on a college campus while carrying a long gun? Now, one theory perhaps is that that screwdriver that they found would have been used to disassemble and assemble that rifle. Now, we've also heard from authorities that they put together a timeline. They believe that the suspect arrived just by the campus at 11:52 a.m. local time. That is
Mark, I don't know if that's for me or somebody else, but your mama loves when I smother her with this big ass round body. So don't worry about it, Mark. And tell your mama to call me later, all right? All right, let's continue.
28 minutes before the shooting, 8 minutes before the Charlie Kirk event began. They have tracked the suspect up stairwells across the roof to the shooting position that we believe is on top of a college campus building, with about a 200-yard straight shot to where Charlie Kirk was sitting when he was hit. So major developments, Dana, but still no suspect in custody. They have they have taken in 2 people for questioning over the course of the investigation. They've been questioned and released. They are completely out of the picture in terms of the investigation. No stigma on them whatsoever. They are searching for this person. They've just released the images of the person who they desperately
What accountability do black people need to take? As far as I understand, black people are not a part of this conversation. That guy doesn't look black, so what do we need to do? I think we need to talk about white on white crime. If we're gonna say that, because again, there's no black person in this video. Or yeah, that shooter, that he's not black. So do we need to have that conversation? So Gabe, as long as you spew hatred and bigotry, you can consider yourself a Christian? I have a hard time with that word activist when people say that he's a political activist. I guess if we go by the technical definition of activist, I guess, all right, you can. But activists, activism, I don't take that lightly. That's why it's race. But you just called somebody a black supremacist. So obviously you see color too. That's what I'm confused about. He's a race baiter. Mm-hmm. I saw white folks at the event. Mm-hmm. Mark, nobody asked. Correct. He was a propaganda grifter for hate. Yes, that is correct. But I don't, and here's the thing, just because we're reminding you of the things that he has said does not mean that we're celebrating. Ain't nobody threw a party. And Asians, I take full accountability for not giving a fuck about a bigot. I'm from Arlington Heights area where Charlie Kirk is from. Oh, okay. Grew up with the only black girl in the class, no sorrow. Wow. See, in your experience, you're like, oh, I know Charlie Kirk. I know his type. You might not know him, but you know his type because you come from his area. See? And let me tell you, because I had a phone call just a minute ago, right before I started this live, and I guess they had said, "Oh, I told somebody that white people are born racist." I never said that. We all know that racism is taught. I never said that. So if that was misconstrued, I want to put that out there. But the person who told me obviously is a drunk, so I know they made that up. Oh, I dropped the link. I'll drop it again. you know, I'm not seeing that comment at all. Maybe they blocked. I don't know. That's weird. Or let me pin it up in the thing. Hold on. Let me go to my live real quick.
Dana.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that very important reporting. And on these new developments, we're going to continue the conversation with retired FBI Special Agent Daniel Brunner. Thank you so much for being here. First, what does the fact that they have released this photo tell you as somebody who has been involved in FBI investigations like this?
Well, it tells me that the investigation is going through its normal course of action. I believe that this is just another step in putting more pressure on this individual to make a mistake.
You're
and
welcome.
That right there is the key where investigators are looking for, is they want this individual to make a mistake. He may have planned the next 24, 48 hours after the incident, but at some point he's going to get tired. He's going to make a mistake. He's going to get hungry. He's going to get cold. Very much similar to the Luigi Mangione manhunt, where he made a mistake.
Right.
And that's all that it takes, is one small mistake. And he's on the run. So this individual planned for this. He prepared his escape plan, but he's already making mistakes by leaving the rifle, leaving the screwdriver, and clearly, getting digital evidence where he was tracked.
Listen, the fact that he left all that, he wanted you to know. He was sending a message. The screwdriver, the rifle, he was sending a message. Now, this is somebody who's trained. That shot, how precise it was, that the precise shot, that lets you know that's somebody who was trained. That's actually very scary. Because as I understand, they hit the artery. And that's what they were trying to do. They wanted a little suffer, but they wanted to get the job done. Thank you, California QD. I appreciate that. Train is an understatement. Yeah. You can't do that in a chat. Like, Mark, you either click the link or I'm going to block you. Those are your two choices. Are you clicking the link? Because, yeah. I agree. They are sick of this. And especially, just imagine you're being used to go after your own people, the people that you're supposed to be protecting, which is Americans. Some people are saying the bullet ricocheted off his bulletproof vest. Oh, and went through his. Wow. Well, that was a strong. Well, was he wearing? I don't know if he was wearing a bulletproof vest. And there's still reports saying that his wife and kids were there. I didn't see no wife or kids in the videos, you guys. I seen men around him, but I didn't see his wife and kids unless they were like somewhere at the hotel or something like that. I didn't see his wife and kids were there. Not saying that it makes it less tragic what happened, but I mean, that's pretty extreme to be all like, yeah, his wife and kids were there. And I'm all like, I didn't see that. Right, out of bounds. Yeah. I feel like in that case, it wouldn't have. Yeah. And again, I've seen the video one time. I mean, I've seen I rewatched again, like up to a certain point before it goes off, because they were. The crazy part about it is that they were talking about gun control, and they were talking about how transgenders are the one shooting everybody up in these school shootings. And what we see here, based on the picture that they got, the steal, it doesn't look like a transgender person to me. Brooke, there's something wrong with your camera. I think it's your internet. That was very ironic, right? Yeah. They were talking about gun control, and he was talking about, you know, the transgenders are the people shooting up everybody. And then that's when he got popped. Right, Miss Barber, you're not the only person saying that. That was a logical response. I appreciate that. I agree, Candace. That was within seconds. That didn't take forever. And then just seeing the video where they're like carrying his body to the SUV, trying to throw him in there. It was like, did anybody try to do CPR or try to close the wound? Like, where was medical? Like, you can't tell me that you have a large event like that, right? That's the other thing. There was like hundreds of people in the crowd, and there was no EMTs or anything like that. I agree, Darcy. Black Ops, definitely Black Ops. Yeah. But they literally carried him into the car and threw him in the SUV and drove away. There was no EMT. Like, that's... were those guys around Charlie Kirk? Were they even security? Like, who were they? His staffers? Like, I'm not having a large event without top-notch security and safety precautions, especially for outside or outdoor. Hello? No, thank you. Yeah, that is very strange. All right, you guys, we didn't have any guests come up, so I'm going to go ahead and end the show right here. But I just wanted to bring that to light because I was hearing everybody saying that he's a Christian, and I was like, wait, then I thought Christian, you're supposed to lead by. Like, I feel like you need to be Christ-like to call yourself a Christian and to be baptized. But I see now, technically, you don't have to. So I wear the Christian banner with a Christian badge with honor because I don't have to be perfect. Thank you, Charlie. All right. Yes, we will be back, son. I love y'all. We out of here.